So for Dakota Bank, I talked about the actual plan development itself, which happens with the MDA coach. We get alignment with their manager and human resources partner, talent management staff partner. And then kind of on an ongoing basis, we really challenge them to engage in journaling, which is a process that if you've ever tried to get anybody to journal, or if you yourself have tried to journal, it's laughable sometimes to see the groans and the moans. But that is kind of an ongoing piece. We have coaching experiences with our MDA coaches that are assigned to them. We give our mentors topics and touch points to connect with their participants, their mentees, and try to bring in their IDP as much as possible. And then my team, we do the same thing. And so they're kind of getting to that conversation earlier about hitting at different levels. They're getting hit from the senior leadership group in a mentor-mentee context on their IDP. They're getting hit from their manager on that, hopefully as much as possible, and then they're getting it from the talent management staff. So yeah, it's a multi-layered approach, and I think that's, even with that approach, to Jason's point, it still is a lot easier for them to set that aside and focus on the project work. But I would say my favorite part of action learning is when you get about 2 months into the project and you start seeing some of those blind spots come up, and you get to have those real conversations with them and say, in the context of the action learning in your group work, and you're having this interpersonal conflict or whatever it might be, pointing them back to their IDP and their assessment results and showing them, that's when you start seeing the light bulbs go off and the development start happening.
The only thing that I would add, because I think Paul did a great job of walking through some of the key elements to success, would be one of the things we set the expectation for as well is that they create some sort of peer dyads in their action learning teams. And so they need to hold each other accountable in pairs for their development progress. And so they talk regularly. They become each other's sort of counsel over the course of the program. So they can't get together for a couple days without forcing the conversation about what am I doing to keep pushing myself.
Right. The other thing too that we see that starts to emerge is when reality sets in terms of the competing demands for time. Right? Because a lot of times you've got these leaders and they've been used to doing it all themselves. Right? And they're creating a lot of the work and they're doing a lot of the work themselves. Now this is a net add in terms of the participation in these programs. Nothing's coming off their plate. They still have to perform. The question is, how do they choose to perform back on the job? So if you have leaders that in their IDP identified delegation as an opportunity for growth, they're living it in the context of these programs. They have to face up differently to, how am I gonna let go of work, equip my team to do work so I can be fully in with my peers on these academies of the action learning programs. So that's an example of where we're really taking advantage of the pace of the intensity of a program like this and a program designed like this in order to stimulate the growth and drive the growth. They have no choice. But they're learning to do that in a new context and in a context of driving to better outcomes, better results.
Need help driving accountability for leadership development and growth? Let's begin a conversation.